Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the brand new legendary Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Dusk Necrozma. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community and fellow content creator Nighttime Clasher, so many thanks for the battle submission. So far, Dusk has only been released at the in-person Go Fest, however, it will get its global release at the Global Go Fest next month. Dusk Necrozma is going to be a Psychic and Steel-type Pokemon with the moveset of Shadow Claw, Dark Pulse, and its new legacy move of Steel-typing, SUNSTEEL Strike. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Dusk in action in the Master League. Hopping into the first match, leading Dusk versus Mewtwo. Mewtwo taking significant damage from the Shadow Claws, but a Shadow Ball would deal massive damage in return. The shield by Dusk getting the shield call right as Mewtwo is going to go for the Shadow Ball. Dusk nearly at the back-to-back charge attacks. Mewtwo is also one away though, and Mewtwo wins charge attack priority, so instead of throwing the move and just losing charge attack priority, Nighttime is just going to go for the free Shadow Claw. Gets the shield call right again, and that means he's going to get the full farm down as Mewtwo makes a charge attack, but they are short of the Shadow Ball. It's only going to be the side strike, and that is double resisted. In comes Landorus, and here we go. Going for the legacy move, SUNSTEEL Strike. Nearly one hit KOs a Landorus with neutral damage. What exactly is this Pokemon? Oh my goodness. In comes Dialga. Dialga going to be met with the Dark Pulse. We're going to see the shield and the switch to Rayquaza as Nighttime decides, you know what? It's finally time that I use the other two Pokemon on my team. In comes Rayquaza, going for the Breaking Swipe, getting the 50-50 shot and an attack debuff. But attack debuff or not, this game was so over. Honestly, Dragonite didn't even need to be brought for this first game. He could have had a 10 CP Weedle on the back and still won, because Dusk went absolutely off, accidentally tabs out of the app real quick, has to tab back in, but is able to take that win. Tough lead in the next match, Dusk versus Ho-Oh. We're going to see two Shadow Claws and a switch to Rayquaza. Opponent going to send out Dialga Origin, and this is honestly not a bad spot to be in. It's nice to bait out the Dialga because that's something that the Dragonite would not be a big fan of. Breaking Swipe does get that debuff. Opponent is actually going to allow a second Breaking Swipe to be reached here. This Breaking Swipe is going to connect, and they get farmed down. The opponent giving up switch. In comes Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh looking for the farm down, but Rayquaza says no. Able to make the last second Breaking Swipe and get the shield from the opponent. In comes Dragonite. Dragonite can survive a potential Brave Bird here. No shields. It's the Sacred Fire bait. The opponent in shambles at this point as Nighttime is getting every call correct. Nighttime commits the shield. This time it is going to be the Brave Bird in the back. It's Landorus, and Landorus is in a very difficult position, where Landorus can definitely knock out with the Stone Edge, but Landorus has zero fast move pressure here. We're going to see a switch. No. Tell me it wasn't a Stone Edge catch. It was a Stone Edge catch. No, this is bullying. This is bullying. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a savage catch by Nighttime. I mean, at this point, he can just let Dusk go. Dusk going to be hit with the Sandsear. One more Mudshot picks up the KO, but Dragonite is going to get the full farm down. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Decent lead in the next match, Dusk versus Kyogre, but there are two much stronger answers in the back. Farming up energy to switch into Rayquaza, getting not only the catch, but a free Dragon Tail sneaking through as well. In comes Togekiss, definitely needed to bait this out as this would crush the Dragonite. Rayquaza unable to make it to a Dragon Ascent, so forced to settle for the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe, of course, double resisted, going to do barely any damage. In comes Necrozma. Necrozma going to fire off the SUNSTEEL Strike. We already saw this neutrally almost one-shot a Landorus, so super effective. That's going to be good night for the Togekiss. In comes Landorus, just going to fire off the Dark Pulse to try and burn that switch timer. Opponent will commit the shield. Landorus continuing to farm. Landorus is two away from the back-to-back, so we will see the shield on the Sandsear Storm. It's going to be charge attack priority, but Nighttime says no. He's the king of the catches today, catching the Sandsear Storm onto Dragonite, where it is double resisted. Dragonite gonna have to put in a lot of work in this endgame. Opponent is going to be shielding up this Dragon Claw because Landorus is their only way of getting rid of the Dragonite. Landorus, this is gonna be a 50-50 call here. If they successfully bait, they get the nuke. He calls the bait and the Stone Edge connects. And that should be game over here, unfortunately. We are going to see the shield on the Sandsear Storm. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get a farm down, and the Kyogre is just too healthy at this point in the match. Back in comes Kyogre. There's just not enough charge attacks for Duskmane, and unfortunately that is going to be game over. Duskmane versus Tapu Bulu, that's an amazing lead to start off the next match. And the opponent is staying in this terrible lead. They're going to bank a Nature's Madness, safe switch into Kyogre, which is a crazy thing to safe switch considering there are Palkia Origins out and about. But we do not have a Palkia Origin on the team, so instead, in comes Dragonite. Dragonite goes for the Dragon Claw. That's not going to KO. This is enough for the Blizzard. Nighttime calls it. Is it the Blizzard? Yes, it is. That's going to be good night for that Dragonite. Back in comes Duskmane. Duskmane commits to the farm down and gets it, wanting to exit with 100 energy. They're not bringing back in Bulu. What's the final Pokemon? It's Dialga. So the opponent, ABA weak to Duskmane. Let's see what Duskmane can do. The Dark Pulse will connect. At this point, their best way of damaging Duskmane is with the Dialga. So I am expecting them to shield even though the Dark Pulse won't KO. Opponent lets it through, sending in Rayquaza. Rayquaza gets the Dragon Tail through here. Dragon Tail will KO as the Iron Head will connect. And now all the opponent has left is the Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu is going to fire off the Nature's Madness and be able to pick up the KO. And this will be interesting. Duskmane is going to be heavily resisting everything Tapu Bulu throws here. However, the Duskmane is rapidly running out of HP, and with each Nature's Madness, the defense of the Duskmane is going to get lower and lower. Duskmane commits the shield on the Nature's Madness. Duskmane continuing to farm. Another charge attack reached by the opponent. Even these Shadow Claws are adding up quite a bit. So the question will be, will a Dark Pulse plus the Shadow Claws be enough to KO? He goes for the Dark Pulse. Tapu Bulu commits the final shield. It's going to be a race. He gets to the Dark Pulse. This has to be enough to KO here to win the game. Dark Pulse into Tapu Bulu does pick up the KO, and despite no shield in the Blizzard in the middle of the match, it does not matter as the game ends in a win. Great lead in the next match, Duskmane versus Dialga. And this is the OG Dialga as well. Dialga not even building up to a Draco Meteor, just going straight for the Iron Head. So they are intentionally wanting him to not commit a shield. He's going for the SUNSTEEL strike. Let's see this resisted damage, by the way. That does so much damage. In comes Rayquaza. Opponent chooses to stay in and just let themselves get farmed. They do get very valuable Dragon Breath damage on that Rayquaza to potentially put it into Side Strike range for the Mewtwo. Mewtwo giving an entire Dragon Tail for free to Rayquaza, and Rayquaza is definitely going to be happy with that, as these Dragon Tails are tearing Mewtwo to shreds. Mewtwo going to be met with another Breaking Swipe. We're going to see the shield from the opponent, and again they give a free Dragon Tail. This time Nighttime is going to let Rayquaza go. Rayquaza barely hangs on 1 HP, exits with a Breaking Swipe. In comes Ho-Oh as their final Pokemon. And that charge attack was only reached because the opponent threw on poor charge attack timing in that mid game. Now we have Dragonite versus the Ho-Oh, the switch and the catch onto Duskmane, catching the Sacred Fire bait where it is going to be super effective, but the opponent realizes there is no longer a win con, and they will resign the match. Duskmane Necrozma versus Shadow Shiny Mewtwo. So if a Shadow Ball lands, this thing is just going to get fully one-shot. But the good news here for Nighttime is this means that his Shadow Claws are doing a lot more damage. He's going to shield at the last second and unfortunately shields a Side Strike bait. Opponent sends in Lugia, and this is by no means a response to Duskmane Necrozma. The Dark Pulse connects, that does substantial damage. Duskmane farming up to the back-to-back Dark Pulses, looking to apply a ton of pressure to the Lugia. Dark Pulse is going to be no shield, they just get KO'd. They have energy on the Mewtwo, but Mewtwo will immediately be met with the Dark Pulse if they send it in. They send in their third, which is Ho-Oh, and we're just going to see a switch out to Rayquaza. Rayquaza tries to go for charge attack priority. That's very unfortunate as an entire Incinerate goes through. The opponent actually ends up going over 100 energy, so the Snuck Incinerate doesn't end up doing a whole lot. He's just going to let this go, calling the Sacred Fire, and now he gets to fire off another Breaking Swipe. This Breaking Swipe will not be enough to knock out the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh able to withstand the damage and get a full farm down. In comes the Dragonite. Dragonite already has this into farm down range for Duskmane. Opponent goes for another Sacred Fire. The switch into Duskmane as the opponent sends back in Mewtwo, not wanting to give the opponent any extra energy head start. Dark Pulse will be shielded. Duskmane can't quite get to the Dark Pulse, and Duskmane will be forced to commit the shield. It's a Side Strike from the Mewtwo, getting the farm down. Oh no, the bad manners SUNSTEEL strike. He's not hitting any bubbles. It's gonna knock out the Ho-Oh. You absolutely love to see it. Savage gameplay from Nighttime Clasher, and that's game over. Duskmane versus Giratina Origin. Two better responses in the back, so we see the save switch to Rayquaza, and the opponent is going to respond with Dialga Origin. Breaking Swipe to Dialga will get the debuff applied. That's very nice. Opponent is going to be firing off the Iron Head. If Nighttime wants to, he can shield and force a shield back with the Breaking Swipe, but instead, he's just going to go for energy on Duskmane Necrozma, as Duskmane Necrozma can output a tremendous amount of damage to Giratina. We're going to see the no shield from Duskmane. Dialga only going to make it to an Iron Head, and Duskmane gets so much energy that the opponent, I mean, if they send in the Giratina, Giratina's not going to have a great time here. Opponent is going to send in Tyranitar. Oh no, do they respect it? They do not. They called it. It's not the SUNSTEEL Strike. He's going to build up to the SUNSTEEL Strike and bait with the Dark Pulse. The Dark Pulse bait. Tyranitar calls it again. Honestly, the opponent might not even know that it has a very powerful Steel move because this is a brand new Pokemon. Shielding up the Brutal Swing. At this point, a Dark Pulse is going to be enough to KO, but man, the opponent there getting the shield call right. That is really unfortunate. The switch to Dragonite. Dragonite cannot get the farm down. The Shadow Tyranitar barely hangs on. Tyranitar full sends the Stone Edge. In comes Giratina. Giratina is going to be met with the Dragon Claw, but Dragon Claw doesn't do a ton of damage, so Giratina is going to correctly no shield, and this now puts Nighttime in a very difficult position where he has to try and farm down to have any chance of winning the game. In comes Duskmane. Duskmane cannot get the farm down, and Giratina Origin is able to take the win, but he does get the 4-1 set. Tough lead in the next match, Duskmane Necrozma versus Landorus. Two better responses in the back, so we will see the save switch to Rayquaza. Opponent banks a ton of energy, sends in Xerneas, but if you give Rayquaza this amount of energy head start, Rayquaza actually has plays to win switch here. The Breaking Swipe bait gets the shield, and now Rayquaza will be able to win the one shield versus this Xerneas, barring a potential Moonblast debuff. The Moonblast debuff does not occur. He's going to be able to overfarm, fire off the Dragon Ascent, and now the opponent has a really unfun choice to make. Do they shield? Yes, they do. And at this point, you can just let Rayquaza go. Once a Dragon Ascent is shielded, Rayquaza no longer has an ability to play for switch, so just taking the shield advantage is 100% going to be the way to go. Opponent can go for the close combat. Honestly, after the close combat lands and they debuff their defense, you might just be able to knock out with a Dark Pulse, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Overfarm quite substantially, go for the Dark Pulse, and the Dark Pulse is going to be able to pick up the KO. In comes Landorus. Landorus going to fire off the Sandsear Storm, and we will see the shield. This is now going to be a debuffed SUNSTEEL Strike, but we've seen how powerful this charge attack is. Does it KO? It does KO! What the heck? In comes Mewtwo. Mewtwo going for a Side Strike, hoping it'll KO, but bad news, that's not gonna cut it. We're gonna see Duskmane. Oh no, he's going for the SUNSTEEL Strike again. It's -1, and it still almost KOs. Oh man, I'm so excited to get this Pokemon in New York in a couple weeks. This Pokemon is crazy. Tough lead, Duskmane versus Groudon. Will we see another catch? You bet we will. Nighttime absolutely cooking opponents with these catches, making them waste 5 Mudshots of energy and baiting out the Dialga to let Dragonite have better play in the back. So even though he's lost lead and swap, things are already off to a great start. Breaking Swipe does not debuff this time. It is a 50-50 shot. And even though Duskmane is a wall to energy from Dialga, in this case, since it is the OG Dialga, it's Draco Meteor instead of the Dialga Origin having Roar of Time. It's still going to do quite a lot of damage. Duskmane is going to be glassier than Solgaleo, which is its main competition, with them both being the meta-relevant Psychic Steel types. Back in comes the Groudon. He's going to go for the Dark Pulse bait here. Do they respect it? Oh, they call it. The switch to Dragonite. They're forced to fire off energy, and this honestly works out pretty nicely. Oh no! A misclick! Disaster strikes! He accidentally hits the shield button with the Dragonite. I've definitely done that before, and that is really, really unfortunate. Oh my goodness. Dragonite now in a difficult position where it shielded a move that doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but misclicks do happen. And he's going to have to try and fight back now, down a shield. He will commit his final shield on the Side Strike, looking to overfarm quite substantially. The opponent now does have the Side Strike available. Dragonite will grab the shield. The switch attempt at a combo, but the opponent clicks the Side Strike and wins charge attack priority. Can Dragonite get the farm down? If it can, it wins the game, but it's a simultaneous KO. Hopping into the final match, Duskmane versus Reshiram. Duskmane will have to be careful of a potential Fusion Flare. Duskmane will be able to outpace here, gonna farm up the switch to Rayquaza and getting the catch of what can only be a Crunch or a Fusion Flare. It will be the Fusion Flare. Opponent running a team that is so weak to Landorus, oh my goodness. Reshiram was definitely a Pokemon that I really enjoyed running in previous iterations of Master League, but man, with the addition of Landorus, it has made it a lot more difficult to do so. Back in comes Duskmane. Duskmane fires off the Dark Pulse plus the Shadow Claw KOs before the opponent is able to make it to a Roar of Time. Back in comes the Reshiram, but the Reshiram's already taken a lot of damage here. This Dark Pulse is going to be shielded by the opponent, and they are going to be returning fire with the Fusion Flare. The shield by nighttime, he knows he has the pacing advantage in this matchup. Dragon Breaths are adding up quite a bit, but then again, so are these Shadow Claws. Going to fire off the Dark Pulse, opponent is going to commit the shield, the switch into Dragonite, and this man cannot stop catching moves. Oh my goodness. Catching the Fusion Flare. In the back is Palkia. Palkia looking for the farm down, but it's not to be. The Dragon Claw reached by Dragonite. Dragonite getting Palkia low, and now he can finish the fight with Duskmane. Duskmane will commit the shield. Should leave very close to the Dark Pulse here. And oh no, don't do it to him. He's going for the SUNSTEEL strike. Bad manners, not hitting any bubbles. It KOs anyway. And that is a good game. On its arrival to the Master League, Duskmane Necrozma is going to be an instant top meta threat. The one thing I will caution is, unlike when Palkia Origin was released and Palkia Origin was instantly just the best Master League Pokemon, I don't think this is the new best Master League Pokemon. I think Palkia still holds the crown there. However, I will say this is probably a top 5 to top 10 Master League pick. So if you are looking to do Necrozma raids and fuse it during GoFest New York City or during the Global GoFest, it is going to be a very powerful pick. And the fact that it has the Psychic Steel typing means for those who do not have Solgaleo, which of course is a very difficult Pokemon to obtain because it requires a lot of rare XL candies, this is a potential time to get an incredibly powerful Psychic Steel type into your arsenal, as that cores incredibly well with Pokemon like the aforementioned Palkia Origin. Something like a Palkia Origin, Landorus, and Duskmane could be a very powerful team, or in this case, a Duskmane lead with 2 Dragon types in the back. So, all in all, this Pokemon is a terrific addition. They did it justice with its moveset, and this thing looks to be an absolute beast. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.